So another big handball call we saw on Super Sunday, which saw Newcastle take a point from Spurs. And let's have a look at the tally so far. We're up to 6 penalties awarded for handball, which has already equalled the tally of the entire 2017-18 season. We had 19 last season, but if that's 6 from 26 games is averaged across the season, we project a current rate of 88 penalties for handball. Everyone's talking about it. It's clear to see why. And let's hear the views of some of those involved tonight.
Looking, Dean, at the current interpretation of handball, are you feeling the need to discuss with the players how not to fall foul of it?
No, not at all, because I don't know how to not fall foul of it. So, I haven't discussed it with the players at all. I mean, we've only had the one game so far, obviously, but, just looking at the interpretation over the last 2 weeks, I'd love somebody to come out and explain it any better than what Roy Hodgson did the other day. I thought he was excellent in his explanation, but, at the moment, I don't think too many of us understand the interpretation.
If you're a defender and you're bound to jump with your hands, and at the end of the day, if it hits your hand, at the minute it's given handball. So I think, there needs to be some sort of clarification on it, and hopefully we'll get that.
The days are going where obviously human instinct and human skills are being brought into football. It's the way the world's going, to be quite honest with you. Perfection. People want perfection, and we now want it on a football field as well. I get goal line technology, but we are scrutinising 90 minutes of football to the finest of detail now. I personally don't think it's right. It's not for me. It's not the game that I once liked. But I also get that as you get older, things change in life, and this is something which is changing, and we obviously need to adapt whether we like it or not.
Greg Whelan asking the questions there. Roy, what's your view of the situation we've got ourselves in here?
Well, it's confusing. Obviously, we just listen to all the managers over the weekend, particularly when you listen to an experienced manager like Roy Hodgson, you have to take note. There's obviously a lot of frustrated people out there. As you said, you saw the graph there. The rate we're going, 80-odd penalties before the end of the season. That obviously that has to stop, because particularly defensively, obviously we talk about football being obviously about entertainment, but you can't be punishing defenders constantly when clearly it's accidental handball.
Well, because of the volume of noise from the game, it feels like something is going to change, and might indeed change quite quickly. We've spoken to the PGMOL today, effectively the people who are in charge of the interpretation. They've told us that they and the Premier League are reviewing the situation constantly. Where do we want to get to with this, Jamie? What do we think should and shouldn't be handball within the laws?
We just need to get to where we were last season, and it was fine. No one was talking about handballs. We never debated it on this programme. And what you've just said there, they're reviewing it. They'll review it, and I can assure you they will go back to what it was last season, because this is a joke. It's a mess. You can't end up with a situation where you've got 88 penalties for handball. That just cannot be allowed to happen. Makes a mockery of the game. You actually go back to 2018 World Cup when this interpretation came out. In the World Cup, I think there was a bit of a penalty in the final, Croatia and France. A lot of people in this country thought it was a bit of a joke. I think the one that really stood out in this country was in Paris, when Marcus Rashford scored the last-minute penalty against Paris Saint-Germain in the Champions League. And I think everyone in this country, even Manchester United fans, couldn't believe a penalty had been given. I actually look back at that now and say, well, OK, if they want to interpret it differently, I'd say, and I think most people in this country would accept that being a penalty now. When the defender was 10 yards away, he jumped up high, his arms turned his back and his arm was there. I get that. But what we're actually now seeing at the start of this season is a mockery, really, of handball. And my big problem is, when you're defending, your arms cannot be by the side of it, whether you're jumping for a ball, whether you're running with an attacker, or whether you're one-on-one defending. And they're the ones I'm going to look at. I'm going to look at the difference. The first one I'm going to look at is at the weekend with Manchester United. Maupay here, he's very close, and we just take it back. I don't think anyone has got a problem with that. Yes, he is close, but we can see he's got his eyes, he's got no chance of going for the ball, and his arm is there. No one's got a problem with that.
So you're happy that's a penalty?
Yeah, of course that's a penalty. And maybe in years gone by, you might have got away with that, saying I was jumping or leverage or that. But everyone in the country, when they saw that, and United appealed and they saw the replay, it was a penalty, no doubt about it. These are the ones that aren't, and this is where I've got huge sympathy, and this is where defenders have got to be taken into consideration. The game now is a lot more for the attackers. Everything is, and rightly so. We want to be entertained. I get what Graham was saying after the game yesterday, more goals in the game. That's what we want. But you can't punish defenders for trying to defend. So Lindelof is running back. When you run, you have to move your arms there, and it just clips him. He's a yard away. That is not a penalty. Yes, we slow it down. You see Lindelof there, and it just clips him there. Talking about defending again. This is a different way of defending. It's a full-back, Ward at the back post. And as it comes in, and again, I put myself in the position. And the reason I'm going to slow it down is because when that ball comes there, Joel Ward, look, you can see his left leg, his right will be the same. His knees are bent. He's ready to defend. He doesn't know if Lucas Digne is going to head it or he's going to bring it down on his chest and run at him in the box. As the ball's coming to the attacker, as you're always taught, get yourself ready. And he's in that crouch position, ready to defend 1v1. His arm has to be there. It can't be anywhere else. And it hits him. Absolute joke of a decision. There. He doesn't know. He's so close to proximity. And then we get to Eric Dyer, the different type of defending again, where this time he's jumping. When you jump, your arms have to come away from you. They just have to. And just slow it down. He doesn't actually jump with Andy Carroll. He jumps with Lascelles at the back post. And as he's on his way down, yes, his arm comes out. But when you jump for a header, it's very difficult to control on the way down. So he uses his arms, he gets up for leverage. OK, he misses the header. His hands have to go there. But I can guarantee you now, this will change because it has to change. I've never seen a reaction over a weekend for whether it was VAR last weekend. This feels bigger.
So you think moving forward, that is not a penalty. Do you agree with all of those that Jamie have said?
Of course not. I agree with the first two. I think obviously not penalties. But I think I can see why he gave the Dyer one. I really can. I think, OK, he's jumped up. But I still think he's just flung his arm up there. It's bad defend anyway. He's not even, I can't understand the modern defender. I can't read the flight of the ball. OK, he's up with bodies. But he has swung his hand up. I don't know why he's done that. So I can see why that was given as a penalty. But the other two, shocking decisions.
We seem to be talking about... We have talked about handball before. We've always talked about consistency. So at the minute, there is this almost black and white, it seems. If it touches your hand, you're going to have a penalty given against you. What we are asking for, what you're asking for, is really more nuance and common sense. Is that not going to be the problem that we're going to have then, this inconsistency of decision-making again?
Maybe. I agree with what you're saying. I think Graham mentioned it yesterday. It almost feels if it hits your hand, it's a penalty, and it almost makes it very simple for us all to work out. Everything's a penalty, virtually. But for me, football, let's not forget what the game is. Football is different to lots of sports around the world. Football is a low-scoring game. To score a goal, it's a big thing, it's a huge thing. And in some ways, it's got to be difficult to score a goal. That's what makes football so good. You think of American sports, and you mentioned that in rehearsal, there's lots of things going on all the time. Football, that's what makes it special to us all. A goal is important. And a penalty is a huge chance of scoring a goal. So even as a penalty, you've almost got to earn your penalty in some ways. That, for me, that can't be right, where you can just head a ball, kick a ball at someone's hand, and then you get a penalty. You look at Newcastle yesterday, in some ways. Now, we've seen teams get points or win games when they don't deserve it. But they've got a result when they haven't had a shot on target just through heading a ball. Someone on the way down, they've now got a point out of that game, really, when they've shown nothing in the game. And maybe that was a bit of my frustration in some ways towards the end, that penalties can be given so easily and almost get teams out of jail when they haven't conjured anything up within a game.